begin the meeting with a word of prayer, and then, if you will, remain standing and join us in the pledge to the flag, please. I'm going to call on Sheriff Blake Turman to open the meeting with prayer. Sheriff.
Bow our heads. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to come here today to do what's best for our community of Covington County. I pray that you be with each one of these men and women as they make the best decisions with you in mind for our county. And God, I thank you so much for the ones that have served on the commission that are moving on to bigger things. God, I pray that you be with them, and I ask that they keep in touch. And God, I ask for you to be with us and continue to be with us through the trials and tribulations of everything that we have to deal with as a community. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. That may be the Lord calling. You may want to answer it. Let's, if you will, join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We certainly do appreciate your interest in the business of our county, and appreciate your making the effort to attend today. I know we have several that are here for the first time, so welcome to all of you, and we have some old timers. So we do appreciate all of you being here. We had no scheduled public hearings, no scheduled comment from citizens, no awards and presentations, but we do have several elected officials and appointed officials with us, and we want to recognize them and give them an opportunity to speak if they desire, share anything with us. I know that one person that's visiting with us is Mayor Gail Robbins of Florella. Mayor, anything you want to share today from the city of Florella?
Just bring you greetings from Florella, and want to thank all of you for what you do for our community. We appreciate you and Mr. Northey for what y'all done.
Yes,
we
ma'am.
appreciate it so very much, and we're looking forward to working with everyone.
Good. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you.
Appreciate your leadership in Florella. Judge, anything?
We are getting ready for an election.
Okay. That's what y'all were doing last time.
It takes a while.
Okay.
2
All
weeks
right.
from today. We are testing voting machines Thursday at 1.
And I've had a couple of folks reach out to me to ask about early voting because I hear about it in the news. We don't really have early voting except for absentee. Is that correct?
We have absentee voting. That closes the Thursday before the election.
Okay.
And then they have to go to the circuit clerk's office and get a ballot for an absentee ballot application, and fill out the application, and then they will get their ballot.
And they can do all that on a single trip, though, and vote there. Is that correct? Rather than have to wait for the mail and return by mail? So you have on-site absentee. Okay.
And I've had a lot of students reach out that are all at college. They can go on to the Secretary of State's website and print off an absentee ballot application and mail it to our absentee election manager, and then she will mail them back a ballot, and they have to mail that back. And
Okay.
it has to be here by a certain time for it to actually count.
They need to act pretty quickly, though, if they're going to depend on the
And
postage.
our absentee election manager is Amy Jones, the circuit clerk.
Okay.
She actually handles that part of the election.
Okay. I know there's a statewide amendment and maybe one local amendment. Do you want to address those? I'm putting you on the spot, but do you remember what the statewide amendment is about specifically?
I do not.
Okay.
But the local amendment has to do with, I think it's a procedural thing in Montgomery where something has to be done to help the government there handle things in a certain way.
So there's an interest in putting on assessing some additional court fees, primarily related to funding in the sheriff's office, and the legislature has asked for this constitutional amendment to be passed so that they can do that comfortably and appropriately. So it is specific to us and our legislator and the sheriff, and I think all the commissioner on record supporting that. So that we'd recommend a yes vote on that local. I do. I assume y'all are favorable towards that because we've passed resolutions in that vein. All right, Mr. Patterson, anything from Revenue Commission?
Yeah, thank you. We're in our first 22 days of collections for Covington County, and the first disbursement was over $1 million. I'd like to encourage everyone that's turning 65 years old, please sign up for the over 65%. We have about 600 in the office the first day, turning theirs back in, so it's very important. So thank you.
All right. Jan, you signed up for that, didn't you? Just checking. Okay, let's move on. Sheriff, do you have anything now or come up later?
Yeah, I do. As most of you are probably aware, we had an active shooter incident last week at Pleasant Home School. We're fortunate that it was a spoof call, but I want to commend the faculty, the students, and all of our first responders. It was a textbook call out. I couldn't ask for it to be any better. And I'm truly thankful for that. We did have a meeting here Monday afternoon, and we talked about things we could do to make it more streamlined and everything, and it's really, there's not a whole lot much more we can do. The job was done very well, and I especially want to commend the character of the children at that school. As we were going through, we was looking through the doors, and the little students had big students in front of them that had, fire extinguishers and stuff like that in their hands ready to defend them, and it speaks tons about their character. And I got to admit, I get a little choke when I think about it. But thank y'all, and my office is always open if y'all ever need anything.
All right, thank you, Sheriff. Any other elected or appointed officials with us? I don't think so. Commissioners, under the consent agenda portion, I know you received the minutes of the October 8th meeting by email. You've had a chance to review those. Are there any changes or corrections that you want to note? I know there were a couple submitted, and those were incorporated into the final version. Any changes to what's in front of us now?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay, there's a motion.
I'll second.
Second to approve them as submitted. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, those are approved. Carried nothing forward under old business, so let's move on to new business. First item is consider the 2025 holiday schedule. Pages 2 and 3, I think, in your packet, Commissioners. Ms. Karen, what do we need to know about this?
The holidays listed in front of you are approved and are a part of our policies and procedures handbook. Some of the days are set by that policy, but of course, as you all know, you can make any changes you desire.
Okay.
Only difference is Thanksgiving. We have 2 different dates out.
Thanksgiving is always the 2 days that are given for it, and of course, you see there's one scheduled as the Monday through Thursday personnel, and the other is the Monday through Friday, but it is always the Thursday and Friday of Thanksgiving.
Okay, I just want to make sure we kept it.
So this is the 24-25 schedule in front of us for 2 different groups of workers. It's a total of 14 holidays.
And this goes really in line with what the state does. We kind of mirror theirs.
Almost, not completely, but almost.
It's very close. I think they have a floating holiday for Mardi Gras, and then I think there may be one other that's not. I think the governor has to grant their second Thanksgiving day.
One that the commission doesn't take, I would love to consider a change, and not today, but I would encourage y'all to consider a change in a couple of these holidays, and maybe add an Easter holiday, either the Friday or Monday, Good Friday maybe, and with the idea of one of the ones that's replaced becoming a floating holiday or personal leave day. But anyway.
I totally agree, Greg. I think Good Friday should be recognized. I know it's no longer in the school system, but I do think as a county,
I think it'd be appropriate.
It would be very appropriate.
So maybe y'all can look at that, think about it for a future meeting.
Yeah.
All right, is there a motion to approve the holiday schedule as submitted?
I make a motion.
All right, I heard a motion from Kenneth, a second from Lynn. Any other questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, that's approved. Next is the emergency operations plan, and that is coming from the EMA. And our EMA director is out of town, so we're falling back on the assistant director, Kyle Adams. Welcome, Kyle.
So the first one on the agenda is the emergency operations plan. It's something that has to be adopted every 4 years.
Is it in that notebook?
It's in the big notebook.
We're going to forego the reading, then.
Yeah, we're not going to read it today. It'll take us a little bit, but basically it tells how each department would respond within the county and the different agencies within the county. So nursing homes, hospitals, Power South, there's a lot of info in there. So how we would all respond.
And I think in talking to you and Susan the other day, there's very little change, maybe no significant change.
no
Substantive
change.
change. Okay,
There's
no
no
change from
change.
prior years, so I know y'all have not had a chance to review it recently, but so the motion to adopt that plan as submitted certainly would be in order, or we'll open the floor for questions if you have questions for Kyle on that.
I'll make a motion.
All right. Motion, second by Tommy, that we adopt it as submitted. Anybody have questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, that's approved. What else?
The second thing on the agenda for EMA is the THIRA plan. So this is the Threats and Hazard Identification and Risk Assessment. Also has to be approved every 4 years, and this is the potential threats that you may have, natural, technological, or human cause. So naturally, for our natural threats is going to be flooding, lightning, drought, and such as that. Those are our highest threats. Technological threat, our highest is dam failure, because we have a couple of them here. And then human caused, our highest threat is school violence, which is something the sheriff spoke about a few moments ago. And it's basically how we identify them and the risk assessment that goes along with them. So another thing that has to be approved every 4 years, and this is mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. So that's the THIRA plan.
Again, is there significant change?
No change.
All right, commissioners, I know we've been living with that now, I guess, for 4 years. Any idea on making changes? Anything you want to question or propose? After hearing the sheriff's report today, it's kind of hard to question it, at least at this point. But
I mean, something we really hadn't used, but,
thankfully.
so I'm assuming what we're doing is satisfactory.
Yeah, and on both of these plans, there's a committee countywide that gets together once or twice a year. I think it's twice, actually. And all the department heads are invited in from the different agencies in the county. So it's not just a plan that Covington County EMA has come up with. It's countywide that's come up with this plan and how it suits everyone.
All right, so we would entertain a motion to adopt the plan as submitted.
Make a motion, we adopt it.
Second.
Motion and second. Any other questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Thank you, Kyle. Next, item D is consider a budget amendment related to scanning operations in the probate judge's office. The judge is here to answer questions, but I'm going to let Karen explain what this is about, and then we'll see what your thoughts are.
In the September meeting, when we adopted the budget, there was concerns about some miscellaneous categories, and so those were reduced down to $20,000. One of the items was the scanning that Judge Brooks is doing in her office, and it was called into one of the categories as miscellaneous service provided by others, and so she's requesting that the additional $30,000 be put back into that, and possibly to recategorize it to show what it's actually being done for that service.
To reduce the miscellaneous and reflect it.
That's right.
And I think that's kind of what we intended, was to consider item by item. So is there a motion to approve that?
Judge, how many more years do they, because I know it was going to be a drawn out.
We made it through. This is the first year that we've done this. All of the deed books are done. They've been digitized. They've been moved into our system. I think there's a few deed books left to be done, actually. And then there's miscellaneous books, there's probate books, there's plat books. I can't really tell you how many more years, but we're making progress.
So it could be a couple more
Yes.
at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't done ours yet. Let me just tell y'all, we haven't started ours yet. We keep waiting for the technology to change and get better. I think it's the time to do it, but it's very expensive. It's basically out for that. So next year I'll be trying to get some money from it.
So as you digitize those, I know that it makes storage a lot easier. Does it also put it online so that it's accessible for the public?
He actually comes in with a scanner, we bring the books up from the basement. He scans the actual permanent record, and then he takes it on a thumb drive to his office and they index it. My girls go in behind them to double check the indexing and to make sure that everything's correct, and then they upload it into our Ingenuity server, and it's available to the public.
Good, okay.
And I will say, I was talking with my girls yesterday, for a while, they were just scanning the documents themselves. They would make copies and then scan it into our system. And the difference in the images between what our vendor is doing and what my girls were doing is just amazing. It's much more clear, and you can see it a lot better with what the vendor's doing versus what we were doing.
Some of the technology improvements Chuck was waiting for, so maybe we're getting close.
It's getting better.
How much is the requested amount again?
It was reduced from 50,000 to 20, so the additional 30,000 to be put
Okay.
back on it.
So is there a motion to approve the 30,000 change in the budget?
Make a motion.
All right.
Second.
I hear a motion and a second. Any other questions on this or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Next item on the agenda is consider Point A Park agreement, and I'm going to defer to our administrator or attorney on that. They've been heavily involved in conversation with Power South relative to that agreement. Where are we on that, Karen? Start with
Morgan,
you.
did you want to cover?
Sure. We were under a 40-year easement with Power South to operate and manage the recreational facilities at Point A Park. The documentation has expired this month. We've been going back and forth with Power South as to what a new relationship may look like. Where things stand today is that we've provided some feedback to them, and they've come back to us with some red line changes that I think you have all received in your email. So we understand where they are. As I see it, we have a couple of things to do, or a couple of options before us today. We could move to accept the changes that they've proposed to us and move forward under the terms of that relationship. If you want to look at continuing to negotiate with them, we could do that. What I would ask is that because we are now outside of the easement term, that we actually, put, if we were to continue negotiations, I would encourage us to put some sort of time frame on what that would look like. Or if we are at a place where the prior arrangement has expired, and we're not going to pursue a future relationship, then we can also not act today. But those are the three options as I see it. You may have other ideas, but we are in a posture to either there will be a consequence of us acting or not acting today, as it relates to our involvement in operating and maintaining that property.
I've seen some of the changes that they've sent back, and I'm not in agreement with them. I know that we've had some issues where and I know we went with them wanting some significant upgrades for us to be able to maintain it. I know the county has actually had to put in money to keep it going, and I'm not in for us putting in money for that. That's my stance on it right now. As the way the red line changes they sent back, I'm not in agreement with them.
I'll echo that.
Myself, I agree the same way. Out of 6 requests, they were considering, I believe, 3. 3 were put back on the county. Since we don't own the property, and never will, I just don't see spending county money that way. I do think it's a good place. I think people, Greg and I talked about, that people have the opportunity to go there where they might not get to go anywhere else, because it is close by. I do see that side of it. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe that park will be maintained either way, whether the county does it or someone else picks it up, or Power South themselves. So it's not like we're neglecting an opportunity for the people. It's just whether we need to spend county funds to maintain it or not. That's where I'm at with it.
And county personnel,
Yeah.
having to be pretty much on call any time to fix stuff, and so.
I wish we had a better agreement to negotiate with. I don't agree with everything in it either. Like Ms. Lynn, it's something that benefits the county, but the county population, but it's not to be put on our back to fund it in any way that I see. But I wish we could work it out, but I'm,
Well, in fairness to Power South, who is certainly a great community partner, they have committed, tentatively committed, an upgrade to the sewer, an upgrade to the electric services to all of the RV sites, and that's kind of been the big hang-up thus far. And that's a significant commitment on their part. I think they see a lot of value in the county being lead on it. Is why that they had entered a 40-year lease in the beginning and are proposing a renewal of that in some terms. It does offer opportunity for less privileged folks in our community to visit and take advantage of that. And I'm not sure. I don't know if they will operate it as a park. I just don't know what the end result will be. It was leased out by the commission. The commission subbed it out to a private individual several years ago. And I thought that did not work well. The first individual or the second individual, it turned an asset into a liability pretty quickly. And I think Power South no doubt saw that. So I know, I would love for us to buy some time with an extension of the current agreement for another 60 days or something. We already have staff in place. We have investment and sunk costs there. And I don't see a risk of extending it to see if you can come to terms with them. I won't be here, so it's not an issue to me. But I recommend that. But just with that said, everybody's had a say. Now is there a motion one way or the other, and we'll act on that
When did the
motion.
lease run out? What was-
October 10th.
October 10th.
So this month. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not seemed to be an urgency on their part because they knew this was coming up.
Yeah.
I will say this, because we met with them back at the beginning of the summer about this. And then all of a sudden, nothing happens, and then all of a sudden, a couple of weeks before the deadline, now all of a sudden they're in a, let's do this, this, and this, but we want to change this, this, and this.
Mhm.
And
So
I
I'm-
believe that, if I'm not mistaken, that Ms. Sowell received an email from them during our last meeting, which has been 2 weeks ago, and we're still in the same place. And as far as the three things you're naming, as I understood that as well, there was nothing in writing or concretely said that we will do this by this given time or this by this given time, and that was my concern. Had they said, yes, within this year we'll complete this, or this next year and this next year, but we were not given those. With that being said, I would like to make a motion that we walk away from it.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
All right. Motion, second. Any other conversation, discussion, questions? All right. You want to put
May I
an
ask a question?
effective date on that?
Yes.
I'll give 30 days.
All right.
That way they can,
We should make it the end of, this is October, you want to do November 30th? That gives them easy to count on the calendar. All right, so we have a motion. Is that okay, Lynn?
Yes,
November
that's
30th?
fine
All
with
right.
me.
To terminate the agreement or relationship effective November 30th. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
nay.
Nay. I changed on you, sorry, Tommy, I was trying to get better at that. So we had 3 yeses and 1 no. All right, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is consider board vacancy for Department of Human Resource Board. Page 5 and 6 in your packet is correspondence back and forth. The recommendation is Mr. Charles Willis, who is a great member of the OP community, lives there. He and his wife have been heavily involved over the years in foster care. I mean, they just have contributed in so many ways. He would be a great member. I talked to Charles, and he's willing to be considered, and I highly recommend that, and it looks like DHR does too.
Whenever I seen that name, I thought that was a very good person, a good pick,
Good.
because he's a very attentive person and very, I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion, is there a second?
second.
Motion and second to appoint Charles Willis to the DHR board. Any other nominees to consider? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that carries. Next, item G is award of bids. We had bids on telephone system, handicap ramp, and a tree trimmer. So let's take those in the order they're listed. Let's start with the telephone system, pages 7 and 8. And I know, again, the administrator and attorney have been reviewing those, and I think they're coming with a recommendation. There's only a single bidder, and they've reviewed it and are comfortable with this bidder to be an adequate provider. Is that right?
They meet specs.
Okay.
The one comment I'll make is we asked them to provide us a copy of their standard agreement, which they did. And I just need to talk with them because we put it out for bid as a 1-year contract with 2 optional renewals, and I just need to make sure that we true that up. But otherwise, they met specs,
Okay.
and I saw no concerns.
Okay. So I think that the recommendation is that they're an acceptable bidder, so we would award the bid to them as the sole bidder, subject to the adjustments that she's referring to on the renewals.
I would also like to recommend that we purchase the equipment up front instead of lease it. That was the 2 options that were provided in the bid packet.
All right. So,
And I would recommend purchasing our equipment.
all right, instead of financing. All right.
What's the timeline on what we have now? What was the age of it? How long did it last?
So that again,
How long have we had the current equipment?
since the current phone system's been in place, I believe, since 2011.
So we can expect to get at least that much life out of the new if we buy it.
We certainly hope.
Yeah.
We can't, the current system was.
No, out of the new equipment.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
current was their CenturyLink, CenturyTel, Brightspeed, whatever you want to call them now, they're not in that business anymore.
Right.
So,
And this is for every building?
yes, this is the entire countywide.
Entire
phone system.
countywide,
Include all of
okay.
our state offices there.
So this system works with every other system, right?
Yes,
Where's the one-time? I thought there was a one-time equipment cost.
It's
The
on page
one
7
time
if you
some of the
purchase it,
systems
and
wouldn't
the equipment.
enter
Okay.
work.
And that's lease is,
When there's something about the phones that, if you had a certain system, you couldn't communicate with certain things.
yeah, that was the older systems that was called on-premise systems.
Yeah.
This is going to be a non-on-premise system, so it has complete functionality.
So the upfront cost on this paying it cash is $14,425, and then you're talking about $2,775 a month.
Yes,
Ongoing cost.
in order to go with the equipment buy option, that fee for phones will be $12,825. Now, if we go with that route, when everything is said and done on 100% implementation, you're looking at around a savings of $350 a month.
Okay.
When it comes to the phone and internet that we can currently cancel with this business.
All right, so we have the recommendation to go with, to award the bid to the sole bidder. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
And that's under the cash option. All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. Next is consider the handicap ramp bid. There's included on pages 9 and 10 of your packet, PH&J, who is our architects, recap of those bids, and they range from $313,000 to $463,700. All of these happen to be local bidders, I think. The low bidder is McLean Contracting, and this is a certified bid tabulation listing I think it listed discrepancies or questions, but the recommendation from the architect, as I understand it, is to award the bid to McLean Contracting as the low bidder at $313,000. So is there a
I'm
motion?
glad to see we finally bid something that come in,
We hadn't voted yet. Oh,
that actually come in
Within
line with what we had
estimates.
anticipated.
I was
Yeah.
excited.
So I am
when
going
they
to make a
opened those
motion
bids,
that
Yes,
we accept this.
yes.
Second.
so was there a motion?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I did, okay, and there's a second by
And
Tommy.
if you didn't hear it, I'll make one too, so.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we go ahead and vote then? I don't hear any questions. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
thank you.
All right, that carries. We'll get the project started.
Oh, one question real quick, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Do we want to delay this until, I know we're under contract with them, so it takes care of our ARPA stuff, this, that, and other, yada, 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 until after the first year, seeing how Candyland's fixing to be on the square?
I think there's a little bit of time getting everything in
Okay.
place anyway, and so it may naturally.
Okay. That way, because I know there'll be a big a lot of people coming around the square.
More important than that, the taxpayers coming in until December 31st, so thank you.
Well, there will be a ramp put in place, a temporary
temporary.
ramp, I believe, so we'll still have access. It'll mess up that
Yes, sir.
west end of the courthouse, but yeah, we'll certainly work through that. There's a
Because I
there's a
just got
limited
thinking about
time
all
for completion.
the
so.
activity that's going to
Yeah.
be going around. Like Chuck says, these people coming in and we want to make it convenient.
And some of that parking places get took away.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, we're moving along. Let's, Lynn, if you will come up, we're gonna get you to talk about the tree trimmer that was bid. And is that one of those little $2,500 pieces? It was a
The pole saw.
Yeah.
It's got a chain motor on it.
Do we have a picture of it by any chance?
We don't, but it's like a small lull, if you know what a lull is, with about a 55-foot or 50-foot arm off to the side of it. So yes, technically it's a Kershaw 55TH. It's a mini Sky Trim is what it is. They make a larger version that's more on a skidder frame. Tires are huge. It's a little bit too big for what we need it for here in the county and what we use it for. But and that would reach about 75 feet. Jason Walker, my foreman, my superintendent, he and I went and looked at it, and we both agreed immediately that it was just too big for what we needed. So we went with the smaller 55,
Okay.
the 55 Sky Trim. But we had one bid. It was Progressive Rail Services Corporation, and they're made right here in Alabama, right there in Montgomery. We didn't actually tour the plant. We could have, but we just saw the machine and decided that's what we needed. We put it to bid, and they were the only bidder. So
And the bid is $212,940.
yes, and that includes the 940 includes the shipping to get it here. So,
Okay.
but I request that we approve this bid.
All right, you hear the recommendation. You've seen the paperwork on it. Is there a motion to award the bid?
I make a motion.
I
Second.
second.
We have a motion by Kenneth, a second by Lynn.
Can we get two of them?
Can we get, we've already asked, could we
Yeah,
have
we-
Clean them
two?
right away to get cleaned.
Yes,
Yeah.
Need about a dozen.
I'm sure it's an open bid.
at least
Keep
one
ordering.
in every
That'd
district.
be a new
How
job for
about
Kenneth,
Yeah.
driving it to rap.
If there are no other comments or questions, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right,
Ready, it could be a sideline job. I could come back.
yeah, you're good. No point in leaving. All right, what else do you have?
Just
Well,
updates on some projects, our ARPA funds, which this will be paid for with our ARPA funds, this Sky Trim. We have paved Art Creek, we've paved Knowles Road, the road across from Clark Trailer has been paved, Dice Dairy, and we're doing some of the surface treatments on those probably the next 2 weeks. We're getting those ready for surface treatment, but all the asphalt's been put down. We've got 3 more roads left in District 4, little short roads around the lake that we're working on. Those have been based and just waiting the asphalt for those. Bush hogging is, we're getting hard with our bush hogging. Grass is starting to die a little bit or go dormant now with the temperatures getting in the 60s and in the 50s. We're definitely starting to see some dormancy will start happening now on that. So working some Fridays to get caught up on that as well. Paint striping, we painted, I think, in every district except for District 2 yesterday, and we're painting again today. So a lot of roads, I hope a lot of people in the county are seeing some of the roads we've been striping. You should definitely tell, especially at night time.
Where they at today?
They're in
Mill
District
Road?
4 today. Finished up the road we started yesterday. But yes,
Can we get an update on the 107 project?
we're totally complete with that
That's what
project.
I want to
yes.
hear it again.
Yes. But work is, like I said, it's dry. We need rain, but right now it's really good for our construction work. A little dusty, and we're also across Murray Road. We paved the first section across, and we're working on we're stripping topsoil and getting ready to move a lot of dirt on that project as well. We're doing that today as well. So.
Any questions for Lynn? Appreciate the good work. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Let me back up to G2, the handicap ramp. We actually need to adopt a resolution relative to the ARPA funds that will pay for that. Resolution to authorize expenditure of American Rescue Plan Act funds for governmental services using revenue replacement funds And we have seen those as kind of a boilerplate resolution now that we've used in the past. And I would ask if there is a motion to adopt the resolution as presented.
I'll make the motion.
All right.
Second.
Motion and second. Questions on that? So this is further expending our COVID money and as required. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. We awarded the bid, is that, and there is a
Construction.
contract with the contractor that we need to, in awarding the bid, basically, we're approving that, but let's make a motion or consider a motion to enter the contract with a successful bidder on that project as well. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is
Second.
that,
Motion and second. Questions?
timeframe?
You remember what the time is on that? Do you recall? Let's give Karen a minute. She can tell us, I think. It's pretty short. It's,
I know
seems like
it's
95
150 days from
150?
start to finish,
Okay.
but taking in date of Article 3 is date of commencement. I don't
Yes.
have
We
it
just
written
want to
down
make
what it
sure
is,
that we can hold them to something pretty close.
but it's 150 days completion from beginning to end, but I think Commissioner Smith's comment about when to begin, it needs to be maybe added into the contract language.
just give them,
It just is a date set forth and is a notice to proceed issued by the owner or December 31st, whichever is sooner.
That's right. Okay, so, that's right. So they are, circling back to your comment, we probably do need the notice to proceed to be issued prior to December 31st to hit some of the check boxes for spending the ARPA money. But as Karen mentioned, there may be a little bit of runway as it relates to what all ramping up for a construction project looks like. So I do think
Are
there
they
should
putting
be
the
some
temporary
additional
ramp on too?
Yes.
So
it's
we
part
could
of the
tell them to
contract.
start the temporary ramp such and such date, and that would,
I think you can,
Yeah.
coordinate with them, since they're
Yes.
local, it'd be easy. All right. So we do have a motion to enter the contract, and subject to review and discussion, we'll give the commencement date that makes sense and write that into the contract. All right. So all in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. Carries.
Also, in that Patrick, the architectural firm said that they would be, I believe he said on a weekly basis, coming in to check, make sure everything, the standards, everything was being met, so.
Contractors do
Their
the
part ended.
consultants.
Their part ended. The consultant's
Okay.
portion has ended since we have gotten through the bid process.
So
If
the
y'all
architect-
wanted to keep them on, we could hire them at our expense to
Okay.
keep them as part of the project.
We can discuss that for a later meeting, so, all right. Other staff reports. Eric, you have anything beyond the phone system that you've already dealt with?
No, sir.
Rachel? Tammy? Anything from you? Okay. Incoming commissioners, anything you want to bring? Put you on the spot. Let's see. Ms. Karen, do you have anything?
I just want to thank y'all for working
Yeah.
so well with us over the term of office. I appreciate it, and I'll miss y'all.
Thank you, ma'am.
I do need one thing.
All right,
before
we're
I-
coming to commissioners, so we'll go ahead and go to you, Lynn. What do you
Okay,
have?
thank you.
Yeah.
Get out. We're
I
done.
need to have approved $200 of my contingency money for the boys' basketball program at Florella High School.
Okay, good deal. No wonder the mayor showed up.
That's right.
Good planning, wasn't it? All right, there's a request for approval of the $200 out of discretionary funds in District 3. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second. Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, that
Now,
motion.
can I finish?
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
you have the floor.
Thank you so much.
For about
I
one
wanted
minute.
to say, really to say about the same thing Karen said. I do want to tell both of you how much I've enjoyed working with you.
Okay.
I hate to see you go.
Well, thank you.
I've said that before, and I'm going to say it again. I looked up this morning what it means to be a public servant, and that's what both of you are. I've discovered in my short tenure that we're servants of this county, and it takes special people to do that. So on behalf, I think, of this county, let me say thank you sincerely.
Well, thank you, Lee.
I appreciate that.
Any other commissioners or?
As they said, I've enjoyed working with y'all, and I've been looking here, me and Greg still gonna have to be doing a lot of discussion and talking in the months to come. I also want to say I came to the meeting yesterday with the schools, the sheriff. Who else was here? Just mainly the schools and the sheriff department and the EMA. Oh, not EMA, I'm sorry, E911. Just listening to it yesterday, my hat's off to all three departments, all three entities that were involved. Because from what I understand, the school system done an excellent job with theirs. They were very, very highly praising the sheriff's response for what they've done. And then the two dispatchers who were on shift at 911 that day had two students. They each had kids at Pleasant Home School while they were answering this call. We actually listened to the call yesterday during that meeting, and the lady who's dispatching is talking to the individual who's doing this hoax. But then all of a sudden the gunshot starts taking place. She never varied. She stayed just as calm, even though her children were there. So my hat's off to all of them. I think that was a very good meeting yesterday for the information that I think we can improve a few things here and there, but for the most part, my hat's off to all y'all.
Good deal. All right. Maureen, do you have anything? No?
Are you gonna make a speech?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's
I have
go.
about an hour-long speech. Kenneth, do you have anything you want to share?
I just want to thank all the support I've got from everybody. It means a lot.
You have family here today, don't you?
And have my family, have my mother, good friend Ricky, and my wife, grandson, my daughter.
How much do you pay them to show up?
It cost me a lot. It's an Amazon bill every month. But it's just everybody, you know, the departments that we work with, it's just been, you know, everybody's worked together. And that's the way you get things done. You have sometimes a different opinion of something, but then that opinion can be wavered a little bit to where everybody can work together with it. It makes something work. Instead of having a vendetta with somebody or something, you want to see this county prosperous and go forward. Now, I feel like the county's doing okay. We could always do better. We ain't 100% we're good. But I'm thankful for what I was allowed to do and this opportunity. It just means a lot.
Good deal. Thank you for serving. How many years?
12.
12 years, 3 terms. Well, I'd like to take upon a personal privilege and share briefly, but briefly never works out that way. When you start reading, it gets longer and longer. But I was first appointed by Governor Fob James in April of 1995 to complete an unexpired term. And then I had the privilege of being elected 18 months later in November of 96, and then 4 additional times in 2000, 2004, 2016, 2020. So I've had the privilege of serving 21 and a half years, which is I'm very pleased with and very honored by. From in between there, I was involuntarily out of elected office because I lost an election. That 8 years I was privileged to serve with the Southern Rail Commission, so that was still public service. It just happened not to be paid. It was busy. It was so really for 29 and a half years I've had the privilege of serving in public service. I've had the privilege of serving with 16 different district commissioners. Could have been 24, but they tend to repeat, just like Kenneth has been here 12. So 16 different commissioners, 4 different Andalusia mayors, 5 different op mayors, and 5 different Florella mayors. And I served with 4 different sheriffs. So, there were several accomplishments, not by me, but by the different administrations. We supported our employees. Every administration that I served with, the best of my recollection, granted annual cost of living raises to employees. So for those 21 and a half years, which would have been 22 budgets. That was our way of showing how much we value those employees and we wanted to reward them for their service. During that same time, we lowered long-term debt from a high of $16.24 million in 2016 to about $7.77 million today. We supported education through all of those years, in spite of current conversation that may be held. We added a 0.5 cent sales tax for education in 2017. which is the only taxing authority our commission has. They can't tax for their own benefit, but they can for education. But it's a hard thing to do, especially when you have a lot of conservative souls at the table. But we saw a need for that. That tax generates about $2.5 million annually for our education. It's shared by all 3 school systems in the county and by LBW. In 2005, several years prior to that, we took action to buy time to allow the legislature to fix a problem in what's called the Education Foundation formula, how they distribute money to all the systems in the state. There was a glitch in that was about to cost Covington County, where they were literally going to have to take locally collected money and remit it to the state in that form. So the legislature needed time to get through the process and fix that, and they did. So the commission at that time added a 1-cent sales tax for education for 18 months. I can't tell you how many folks I heard say it'll never come off once you put it on, but 18 months later, to the credit of the commission, that tax died as committed, and that generated over $4 million for local education. And I think that they still feel the benefit of that money today. There was a great deal of pressure, as you might imagine, not to let it expire, but it did as committed. The various county administrations provided site work for school buildings, and we built numerous ball fields, parking lots, other facilities on school grounds. At some time, a number of years ago, I counted, and there were over 40 specific projects that the commission had been involved in for schools. And that was a way to stretch taxpayer dollars and give benefit to education. And I'm on page 2 of 7, so just no. We invested in new buildings, and that was to support our employees, better serve the citizens. Those buildings included completion of the county jail. I wasn't here when that started, but I was here when it finished. It was about 25% through, I think, when I came into office. We built this building, this county administration building, which has certainly served well. We built the USDA office buildings, and there's an interesting backstory to that. Federal agencies were in the process of consolidating into regional offices. So if you owned a farm in Wing, Alabama, there's a good chance you're going to have to go to Delville or Enterprise to a regional office to handle your USDA business. We invested 1.something million, 1.2 million or something in the USDA office building, and that kept those federal agencies here. In fact, they entered a lease with us and pay us an annual lease fee. And that makes it a whole lot better for all of our citizens who own land or farm or whatever. So I think that was a great investment that the commission took the initiative to accomplish. And then we built the Covington Center Arena, better known as the white elephant on Greg White's neck. So it's been a 25, almost a 30-year operation there, and I think it's doing exactly what it's built to do, which is to generate revenue for this county. It brings a boatload of folks to Covington County, and I think we get a great indirect impact besides the direct impact. It costs us money to operate. Not a great deal. We'll generate $200,000 in direct revenue this year from it, but the indirect revenue is hard to measure. As commissioners have learned, you have significant events that come along. I'll only mention a couple. We had Hurricane Opal in October of '95. Remember, I was appointed in April of '95, so that was a pretty quick trial by fire. That was a significant event. By our count, we had almost 30,000 trees down on county roads and rights of way. So it was a big deal, and the county crews worked weeks and weeks and weeks, 70, 80-hour weeks to get the job done. And then 3 years later, in 1998, we had 2 100-year floods in 1 year. And those led to the loss and replacement of almost 60 bridges over a 3 to 4 year period. The March flood led to almost 95% of county roads being impassable. That quote being by Sheriff Wilbur Mitchell, who was out riding the roads. And we did have one person lose their life that year in that flood. And with that being said, it's been a privilege to me. I do have some advice for the commissioners that are remaining and the new ones coming in. Trust your leadership team, your administrator Karen Sowell, engineer Lynn Rawls, your attorney. Fully support them, have confidence in them. They're professionals, and they're going to give you the very best advice that they can. That's been my experience, no matter who the administrator or engineer was. Continue to work closely with education, find ways to support our education systems and LBW. Stay engaged with and invest in your economic development team. Recognize that your contribution is vital to their success. Participation with with our cities, Florella and others, with our local banks, our local industry leaders is the only way that Covington County can compete for opportunities to attract jobs. And partnering is the only way we can afford to operate in the economic development arena. We don't have the funding to provide a budget for our department, so we join with these other entities. Make every effort to make informed, rational decisions. Don't allow yourself to make decisions based on personalities and dislikes. It's really easy, as close as we are to the voter, to get caught up in the personalities. And you need to pull back from that as best you can and make good, informed decisions and seek to understand all sides of an issue. With that being said, hearing no other business to come before us, Kyle, you have something?
Yes, sir. So at this time, we want to, the county employees want to thank the commissioners, Commissioner Ken Northey and Chairman White. A lot of people just don't realize what goes on behind the scenes here. It's not just coming to 2 meetings a month. There's a lot more phone calls, coming up here speaking with the administrator, different department heads that go on all through the month. So a lot of stuff goes on. So the commission employees want to thank our outgoing commissioners for what they've done over the past 21 years and 12 years.
Thank you.
Also, another thing a lot of people don't realize is we see the family members today, but you know, the family members, it takes them to do this job. And for my 4 years, you know, my wife got a lot of phone calls. I know Miss Kim did, Miss Jan did. So without them, what they do is impossible. So we want to thank the family members as well today. And we want to invite everybody to stay with us for a few moments. Greg kind of already talked about all these points. You know, he already had them all written down. But, you know, one thing that people don't realize about Ken is there's so many different boards that he served on. It wasn't just here. Soil, and there's several ones you want to tell them.
RC&D, and that's one of the main ones. But then, you know, I'm involved with other like Alpha and stuff like that. The Farm Pack trustee, and was a county president, and that entitles me to go to Montgomery and see what Alpha's looking into that involves the county and other local governments. And so we kind of get an outside view of what other people's looking at that you might be a part of to help your community. And so there's several things, you know, that I've done that's involved me with other things, you know, to see what I do better, or try to do, not better, but try to do.
Yeah.
So we thank them for what they've done. You know, a lot of things, like I said, is under the radar. You don't realize exactly the different committees that these gentlemen have served on, so we thank them for that. Also, we're going to have light refreshments. We invite everybody to stay, family, friends, just everybody in attendance today. Stick around with us. Talk to the commissioners, thank them for their service, what they've done over the past 4 years. 21 years and 13 years. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Stand adjourned.